Scientific experiments gone wrong that open portals to the unknown. Before we dive into the most terrifying scientific accidents in human history, experiments that literally tore holes in reality and opened gateways to dimensions we were never meant to access, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. What you're about to discover about scientific experiments that went catastrophically wrong will forever change how you see the boundaries between our world and whatever lies beyond. If these mind-bending revelations about portals opened by human hubris shock you as much as they shocked me, drop that like button to help expose these suppressed truths about science gone terrifyingly wrong. When science breaks reality, in the pursuit of scientific advancement, there have been moments when human experimentation pushed beyond the boundaries of known physics and accidentally breached the walls between dimensions. These weren't theoretical possibilities or science fiction scenarios. These were documented scientific experiments that produced results so impossible, so reality-defying, that they forced researchers to acknowledge they had opened doorways to realms that exist beyond our normal understanding of space and time. The pattern is always the same. Brilliant scientists pursuing legitimate research accidentally discover energy configurations or dimensional frequencies that create tears in the fabric of reality itself. What begins as controlled laboratory experimentation rapidly escalates into contact with entities, forces, and dimensions that operate according to laws that conventional physics cannot explain or predict. These portal experiments represent humanity's most dangerous scientific discoveries because they demonstrate that the barriers between dimensions are far thinner than anyone imagined, and that human technology has already reached the threshold where accidental interdimensional contact becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Every portal opened by failed experiments represents a permanent scar in reality that continues to leak influences from other dimensions into our world. The most disturbing aspect of these dimensional breaches is that they appear to be irreversible. Once open, these portals continue to influence local reality in ways that suggest ongoing contact with intelligences that exist outside our dimensional framework. The experiments that created them have been classified, the researchers silenced, and the sites abandoned, but the portals remain active, continuing to serve as gateways for forces that were never meant to interact with human reality. The Philadelphia experiment. The USS Eldridge vanishes into another dimension. The most documented case of a scientific experiment opening portals to unknown dimensions occurred in 1943 when the U.S. Navy attempted to create an electromagnetic cloaking field around the destroyer USS Eldridge. The experiment, based on theoretical work by Nikola Tesla and later developed by Dr. Morris Jessup, was designed to make the ship invisible to radar and enemy detection systems. What happened instead was far more terrifying than anyone had anticipated. Witnesses reported that the USS Eldridge didn't just become invisible. It completely vanished from our dimension before reappearing moments later with crew members embedded in the ship's hull, others completely missing, and surviving sailors reporting experiences that defied every known law of physics. The surviving crew members described being transported to a dimension where time flowed differently, where they encountered entities that existed as pure energy, and where the laws of causality operated in reverse. Some reported seeing future and past events simultaneously, while others claimed to have witnessed the ship existing in multiple dimensions at once. Dr. Morris Jessup's investigation into the experiment revealed that the electromagnetic fields generated had accidentally created what he termed dimensional resonance, frequency patterns that synchronized with the vibrational signatures of parallel dimensions. The portal effect wasn't intentional, but once opened, it continued to affect the ship and its crew for decades afterward. Jessup's research was abruptly terminated when he was found dead in his car under circumstances that investigators found suspicious. His death occurred just days before he was scheduled to present evidence about the dimensional aspects of the Philadelphia experiment to a group of international physicists. His research files disappeared, and the Navy officially denied that any such experiment had ever taken place. But the effects continued. Former crew members of the Eldridge reported ongoing experiences of spontaneous teleportation, temporary invisibility, and contact with entities from other dimensions. Medical examinations revealed cellular changes that couldn't be explained by conventional science, suggesting their exposure to interdimensional energies had permanently altered their biology. The Montauk Project, mind control experiments open time portals. Building on the accidental discoveries from the Philadelphia experiment, the U.S. government allegedly established a secret research facility at Camp Hero on Montauk Point, Long Island, where scientists attempted to weaponize interdimensional portal technology through experiments combining electromagnetic manipulation with psychic amplification. The Montauk Project, operating from the 1970s through the 1980s, reportedly used psychically gifted individuals connected to powerful electromagnetic amplification equipment to create controlled tears in space-time. The initial goal was developing time travel capabilities for military advantage, but the experiments quickly spiraled beyond human control. According to whistleblower testimony from alleged participants, the Montauk experiments successfully opened stable portals through time, allowing researchers to observe and potentially influence past and future events. But the portals also provided access routes for entities from other dimensions who began using the temporal gateways to enter our reality. Preston Nichols, who claimed to be a technical supervisor at Montauk, described how the experiments attracted the attention of beings that existed outside normal spacetime. These entities, which researchers called time travelers, demonstrated technology and capabilities that exceeded human understanding by thousands of years. The project allegedly ended in disaster when a time portal experiment created an interdimensional rift that threatened to consume the entire facility. Researchers reported losing control of the portal as entities from multiple dimensions began pouring through the gateway, forcing emergency shutdown procedures that permanently damaged the equipment and left residual dimensional distortions throughout the area. Local residents around Montauk Point continue to report anomalous phenomena, unexplained electromagnetic disturbances, sightings of entities that don't belong to our dimension, and temporal anomalies where clocks run backward or time appears to move at different rates in specific locations. These effects suggest that the dimensional barriers around Montauk remain permanently compromised. CERN's Large Hadron Collider. Particle physics opens doorways to other dimensions. The Large Hadron Collider at CERN represents humanity's most powerful attempt to understand the fundamental structure of reality by recreating conditions that existed moments after the Big Bang. But some physicists warn that these high-energy particle collision experiments may be inadvertently opening microscopic portals to dimensions that exist parallel to our own. Dr. Sergio Bertolucci, former director of research at CERN, publicly acknowledged that the LHC might produce evidence of extra dimensions, stating that the collider could send something into extra dimensions or extra dimensions could enter our own world. This admission suggests that CERN scientists are aware their experiments could breach dimensional boundaries. The most controversial theory involves the possibility that high-energy particle collisions create microscopic black holes that serve as gateways to other dimensions. While these microportals would exist for only fractions of seconds, they could potentially allow information or influence from parallel dimensions to leak into our reality. Strange phenomena reported at CERN facilities include unexplained electromagnetic anomalies, equipment malfunctions that follow patterns suggesting intelligent interference, and researcher reports of unusual experiences during high-energy experiments. These incidents are typically classified as technical problems, but patterns suggest possible contact with forces from other dimensions. The most disturbing possibility is that the LHC experiments are being monitored by intelligences from parallel dimensions who view human particle physics research as primitive attempts to breach barriers that more advanced civilizations learned to cross eons ago. If true, CERN's experiments might be inadvertently announcing humanity's presence to entities we're not prepared to encounter. Several CERN researchers have reported dreams and visions during high-energy experimental periods that seem too coherent and detailed to be random subconscious phenomena. These experiences often involve contact with beings who claim to exist in dimensions parallel to ours and who express concern about humanity's reckless experimentation with forces we don't understand. The Hutchison Effect. Electromagnetic anomalies create reality distortions. John Hutchison's experiments with high-voltage electromagnetic fields in the 1980s and 1990s accidentally discovered effects that appear to violate fundamental laws of physics and open temporary portals to dimensions where different physical laws operate. The Hutchison Effect, as it became known, demonstrates levitation, metal fusion, and transmutation of materials that mainstream science cannot explain. Hutchison's laboratory equipment, assembled from surplus military hardware, created electromagnetic field configurations that produced effects resembling the results of interdimensional interference. Objects would levitate without any visible means of support. Different metals would fuse together at room temperature, and materials would spontaneously transmute into different substances. The most significant aspect of the Hutchison Effect is that it appears to create localized zones where the laws of physics operate differently, as if the electromagnetic fields are opening windows to dimensions where matter behaves according to alternative physical principles. These effects suggest that reality itself is more malleable than conventional science assumes. Military and government agencies showed intense interest in Hutchison's work, confiscating his equipment multiple times and classifying his research. This suppression suggests that the implications of the Hutchison Effect extend far beyond simple electromagnetic anomalies into areas that authorities consider too dangerous for public knowledge. Hutchison reported that during his most successful experiments, he experienced contact with what he described as intelligence that seemed to guide the experimental results. These entities, which he claimed existed in parallel dimensions, apparently used his electromagnetic fields as communication channels to demonstrate their reality manipulation capabilities. The suppression of Hutchison's work continues today, with attempts to replicate his effects being systematically discouraged through funding restrictions and academic ostracism. This suggests that the interdimensional implications of the Hutchison Effect are considered too dangerous for widespread investigation. The Skinwalker Ranch experiments. Scientific investigation opens paranormal portals. Skinwalker Ranch in Utah has become the focus of scientific investigation into phenomena that suggest the property sits on a location where the barriers between dimensions are naturally thin, and where scientific experimentation has apparently widened these interdimensional gateways even further. The National Institute for Discovery Science, established by billionaire Robert Bigelow, conducted extensive scientific monitoring of Skinwalker Ranch phenomena using advanced sensor equipment and scientific methodology. Rather than debunking paranormal activity, their research documented evidence of portal-like phenomena that defied conventional explanation. Dr. Colm Kelleher, who led the scientific investigation, reported encountering entities that appeared to exist partially in our dimension and partially in others. These beings demonstrated the ability to manipulate local reality in ways that suggested they operated from dimensional vantage points that allowed them to influence our world while remaining largely invisible to conventional observation. The most disturbing discoveries involved evidence that the interdimensional entities at Skinwalker Ranch were studying human researchers just as intensively as humans were studying them. Equipment malfunctions, missing data, and manipulated experimental results suggested that the entities possessed technology capable of interfering with human scientific investigation. Pentagon funding for Skinwalker Ranch research through the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program indicates that government agencies recognize the potential military implications of interdimensional phenomena. The involvement of military contractors and intelligence agencies suggests that portal research has moved from academic curiosity to national security priority. Current research at Skinwalker Ranch, conducted by the team featured on The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch television series, continues to document phenomena that appear to involve contact with intelligences from other dimensions. Their scientific approach to investigating paranormal phenomena may represent humanity's most systematic attempt to understand and potentially communicate with entities that exist beyond our normal dimensional boundaries. Project Looking Glass. Military time travel creates temporal portals. According to whistleblower testimony, the U.S. military developed time travel technology through Project Looking Glass, which used rotating cylinders of liquid mercury combined with high-voltage electromagnetic fields to create temporal viewing portals that allowed observation of future and past events. Dan Burish, who claimed to have worked on classified projects involving extraterrestrial technology, described looking-glass devices as creating temporal windows that functioned as portals through time rather than space. These devices allegedly allowed military planners to observe potential future timelines and make strategic decisions based on knowledge of future events. The most disturbing aspect of Project Looking Glass was the discovery that using the technology created temporal paradoxes that attracted the attention of entities that existed outside normal time. These temporal guardians reportedly intervene to prevent timeline modifications that could threaten the stability of reality itself. According to classified sources, Project Looking Glass was terminated not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well, opening portals that allowed temporal entities to influence present-day events. The technology apparently created two-way communication channels with intelligences that existed across multiple timelines simultaneously. The suppression of temporal portal technology suggests that government agencies recognize the dangers of unrestricted time travel research. If authentic, Project Looking Glass represents humanity's closest approach to mastering dimensional portal technology, and the decision to abandon it may indicate that the risks exceeded any potential benefits. The HAARP conspiracy, atmospheric manipulation, opens dimensional gateways. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, in Alaska officially conducts ionospheric research, but conspiracy researchers suggest that the facility's powerful radio frequency transmissions may be inadvertently opening portals to dimensions that exist in the upper atmosphere of parallel Earths. HAARP's ability to heat and manipulate the ionosphere creates electromagnetic disturbances that some researchers believe could resonate with dimensional frequencies, creating temporary gateways that allow entities from parallel dimensions to observe or influence our world through atmospheric manipulation. Unusual atmospheric phenomena reported in areas affected by HAARP transmissions include geometric cloud formations that appear artificially created, electromagnetic anomalies that affect aircraft navigation, and auroral displays that occur at times and locations where they should be impossible according to conventional atmospheric physics. The most controversial theory suggests that HAARP's atmospheric manipulation has attracted the attention of entities that control weather systems in parallel dimensions. These beings allegedly use HAARP's energy output as a communication channel, responding to transmissions with atmospheric phenomena that demonstrate intelligent control over natural systems. Nick Bejich's research into HAARP technology reveals potential applications that extend far beyond ionospheric heating into areas of consciousness manipulation and dimensional communication. His warnings about the facility's capabilities suggest that HAARP represents technology that could fundamentally alter humanity's relationship with both our own dimension and others that exist parallel to it. The Svalbard Seed Vault Anomaly. Genetic preservation opens biological portals. The Global Seed Vault in Norway, designed to preserve plant genetic diversity against global catastrophes, has reportedly experienced unexplained phenomena that suggest the facility may have inadvertently created conditions that open portals for entities interested in Earth's biological diversity. Workers at the facility have reported encounters with entities that appear to be cataloging and studying the preserved genetic materials. These beings, described as existing partially in our dimension and partially in others, seem particularly interested in the genetic information contained within the vault's collections. The facility's location within permafrost and its electromagnetic systems may have created conditions similar to other portal sites, where specific geographic and technological factors combine to thin the barriers between dimensions. The concentration of genetic material might serve as an attractant for entities that exist in dimensions where biological diversity followed different evolutionary paths. Security footage from the vault allegedly shows inexplicable phenomena, including objects moving without physical cause, electromagnetic disturbances that affect preservation systems, and thermal anomalies that suggest the presence of entities that generate heat signatures different from human visitors. The suppression of information about anomalies at the Seed Vault suggests that authorities recognize the potential implications of interdimensional interest in Earth's genetic diversity. If entities from other dimensions are studying our biological heritage, it raises disturbing questions about their intentions and capabilities. The Gateway Process, CIA Mind Expansion, opens consciousness portals. Declassified CIA documents reveal that the agency conducted extensive research into consciousness expansion techniques through the gateway process, which combined meditation, sound frequencies, and electromagnetic stimulation to allow human consciousness to access information from other dimensions. The gateway process was designed to expand human consciousness beyond normal limitations, allowing trained individuals to perceive information that existed outside normal space-time boundaries. Participants reported experiences of consciousness travel, communication with entities from other dimensions, and access to information that couldn't be obtained through conventional intelligence gathering. CIA research documented that advanced gateway practitioners could access what researchers termed non-local information, knowledge that existed in dimensions parallel to our own. This capability attracted intense interest from intelligence agencies, who saw potential applications for remote viewing and psychic espionage. The most disturbing discoveries involved evidence that consciousness expansion through the gateway process created permanent changes in participants' neurology that allowed ongoing contact with entities from other dimensions. These contacts often continued long after formal training ended, suggesting that the process opened permanent portals within human consciousness itself. The declassification of gateway process documents represents unprecedented official acknowledgement that government agencies have successfully developed technologies for interdimensional consciousness communication. The implications extend far beyond intelligence applications into fundamental questions about the nature of human consciousness and its relationship to other dimensions. The modern portal crisis. Contemporary experiments continue opening gateways. Current scientific research continues to push the boundaries between dimensions, often without recognizing the portal-opening implications of advanced experimentation. Quantum computing, consciousness research, and high-energy physics experiments are approaching threshold levels where accidental dimensional breaches become increasingly likely. The proliferation of portal-opening experiments suggests that humanity is approaching a critical juncture where interdimensional contact becomes not just possible but inevitable. Each new experiment that pushes beyond conventional physics represents another opportunity for accidental dimensional breach. The suppression of portal research by government agencies indicates recognition that interdimensional contact could fundamentally alter human civilization in ways that current social and political structures couldn't accommodate. The classification of portal experiments suggests that the implications extend far beyond scientific curiosity into areas of national security and species survival. Contemporary researchers working on consciousness expansion, quantum entanglement, and dimensional physics report increasing incidents of anomalous phenomena that suggest their experiments are attracting attention from entities that exist in parallel dimensions. These contacts often begin as subtle influences on experimental results, but escalate into direct communication attempts. The pattern of portal experiments throughout history suggests that humanity has already irreversibly altered the dimensional barriers around Earth. The cumulative effect of decades of interdimensional experimentation may have created conditions where ongoing contact with parallel dimensions becomes a permanent feature of human reality. The evidence is undeniable. Human scientific experimentation has repeatedly and accidentally opened portals to dimensions we were never meant to access. From the Philadelphia experiment to CERN, from Montauk to Skinwalker Ranch, the pattern shows that pushing the boundaries of known physics inevitably leads to contact with entities and forces from parallel realities. These weren't intended discoveries. They were catastrophic accidents that continue to influence our world through permanently opened gateways that leak interdimensional influences into our reality. The suppression of this research proves that authorities understand the implications, but the portal crisis continues to escalate with every new experiment that pushes beyond conventional science. Don't let them hide this truth. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and share this video with everyone who needs to understand that we've already breached the walls between worlds, and there may be no way to close the portals we've accidentally opened.